You guys hear me in the back? Okay, awesome. Me growing up as an artist, I would go to these spaces. I felt like I could go anywhere. I wasn't really too concerned about who else was there because I wanted to go there. But I had a lot of friends who were like, I've never been to a gallery. I've never been to a museum. I never really cared to be in spaces that seem like they're not for me. And the reason that a lot of people felt that way is because historically, a lot of black people have not been featured in these institutions. They didn't see themselves or their stories or their experiences presented in these spaces. So they didn't want to go. And that makes a lot of sense. I also felt as if it was a little bit polarizing, a little bit hard to get connected in these spaces as an artist because a lot of my peers were not of color, especially starting out in my early 20s. That's part of why I decided to create this organization, AnkhLave Arts Alliance, to be able to present people of color in these spaces and hopefully include more of these voices so that we could have more stakeholders in the conversation that everyone's going to be living under. Culture is almost like an atmosphere. We all breathe that air. We all live under that experience. And if we choose not to share that experience from the highest mountain, then we're not going to be heard. And that means that other people are going to be speaking on our behalf. So I thought it was very important to be able to create AnkhLave Arts Alliance. We basically present BIPOC artists, BIPOC being Black, Indigenous, and people of color, in art spaces. And we've actually, after we got our nonprofit status in 2018, we started presenting them in public spaces. So public spaces including botanical gardens, parks, and other green spaces. And that way people can come and see the work, and maybe if they're not someone who wants to go to a museum or a gallery, they could feel like they could have a conversation about it because it's not in the same kind of space that they're used to seeing it in. That white wall gallery space, we're still going to take up spaces there too. Like we have 2 exhibits at Tafaria Castle. We're also in Kenya doing that, so that's a different thing. But no, we do exhibits in traditional gallery spaces, but those spaces are based in the thought of the Western world. So people of European descent felt like it was ideal to put artwork in a white cube. And you could see the value in that, but you could also, in my opinion, see the value of seeing art in public green spaces, just as you see here at Tafaria Castle. We see a lot of different public arts. The thing about public art is it's outside of the context of what you're used to, so you have to use more imagination to make it make sense, to understand it, and to see it for what it is. It's still art. It's just in a different space, and that kind of opens up people's minds to engaging with it, despite the fact that they may not ever want to go to a gallery. Now, more recently, more Black people of color in the States are actually choosing to go to these spaces because we've actually been taking up space there, which is a fantastic triumph in the history of art. But that's very recent. And still, there are a lot of people that choose to never go to these spaces. So for that reason, it's important to show, I think, Black artists, Indigenous artists, people of color in public spaces where people who may never actually go into a gallery can see it, engage with it, and then also eventually hopefully become stakeholders in the conversation of contemporary art. So with that said, we have some really cool programs. One of them I want to share is going to include 2 artists that are based here in Kenya. One of them is Wanjiku Nderitu. She's of Kikuyu descent, and she's going to be featured in a mural that we're going to present in New York City. So this is going to be our 2nd annual African Indigenous Mural Project, and last year we featured 2 artists in Manhattan who were of Ghanaian and Nigerian descent. And this year we're going to feature 2 artists based here from Kenya, and that includes Wanjiku, who has a studio here, as well as another artist named Linda Daisy. So if you end up wanting to follow us on social media, IG, if you have a phone, our IG is @AnkhLave, and you'll be able to follow Wanjiku and what she's doing and be able to see a piece of Kenya in New York City. With that said, does anyone have any other questions or comments before we go into the gallery and we check out the second part of the show? No, we're all good? All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's take a second and let's migrate to the next room.